Okay, so welcome. Thank you for those who joined our coffee and bagel session. I'm noticing with every coffee and bagel, we're having more and more people join those. So I think people are finally finding it and kind of finding some free time to join us. If you haven't yet, please do so. Would love to see you. I think we only have one more left, I think, today. So definitely, if you have a chance, please join us for that. We will be randomly selecting one participant for the winner of a Grubhub $50 gift card for participating in Coffee and Bagel. And that winner will be receiving an email from us in the next few minutes. So please be on the lookout for that. At the end of the day, we will announce the Coffee and Bagel winners on the conference platform homepage. And the session that you've joined now is called Managing Tenant Events and Submissions. Tenant event submissions and errors, which will be presented by Sara Surprenant at ProLink Solutions. This year, we introduced difficulty levels that are described for each session. This session is considered between beginner and intermediate level, so kind of covering a gamut of things here. Before we start the session, there's just a few things to cover on housekeeping, and then I'll hand it over to Sara. So first, on the right-hand side of your screen, you have your chat, so please take advantage of that. This particular session is live. While Sara is focused on the presentation, obviously, we do have Kelly Insignias, who is our HFA Senior Product Manager for ProLink. She's going to be monitoring the chat throughout the session, so please feel free to post any questions or comments throughout the presentation by Sara, and Kelly will either respond to you directly in real time or follow up with you after the session. And please note that all of your comments on chat are visible to all the attendees. Also, on the right-hand side of your screen, we have a poll feature. So throughout this session, there will be 3 poll questions that are going to be displayed one by one intermittently throughout the presentation. So you will have about 30 seconds to respond and participate in that poll. Then we'll close the poll and then see the results just a couple of seconds later. So that 30-second window to respond, and then Sam will announce the results from that poll. We encourage you to participate in that with us. And then this is right under resources is where you can download a copy of the materials we're going to cover in this session. You can download those materials before, during, and after they're available for you there. Last, again, just keep in mind, we do have those resources from our previous Tech Live conferences. If you scroll down on the conference platform homepage, you will see playlists and individual sessions for ProLink Tech Live 2022 and 2021. We've cherry picked and really offering most of the sessions we've covered those last couple of years to be available for you as supplemental training in addition to the live sessions that we were covering in this conference. Okay, so now I will introduce our session speaker, Sara Surprenant. She is our customer success rep and trainer at ProLink. I'm sure many of you have worked with Sara, probably a lot of you on a regular basis. So thank you very much, Sara, for putting this on for us. And you can go ahead and take over our screen.
I shall do that. All right. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. We're in Colorado where apparently it's supposed to snow just a little bit today because that's just how we roll with fall here, apparently. Today, I'm going to talk about everybody's favorite tenant event portal errors when we import our tenant events from our owner agents. We're going to go through a little more granular reviewing of the errors, what you can do to resolve or help your owner agents figure out what's going on, and the instances where you need to get in touch with us and let us talk to one of our developers to find out what's going on. And then we'll talk about some of the validation errors you get too. Occasionally when your owner agents do the validation, they don't understand what the issue is. We'll cover some of that too. This is in no way probably doesn't cover every single error we can get, but I feel like we did a really good job of getting them all into this PowerPoint. I don't have them all memorized. Unfortunately, a lot of them I do. Occasionally I know where to look or what I can do and what I can't do. So hopefully this will kind of help you figure out what you need to do going forward when you do get an error. So we are going to start with tenant event portal assumptions. And this is like going into it. We're not starting from the beginning. We're just going to make some assumptions that you have a compliance period that has been created in ProLink HFA. So it does show up in the tenant portal for your owner agents and partners. And then we're going to assume that you have added the owner agent to the work center as a collaborator to allow them to import their tenant events. And then we're going to assume that they have a property management system and they mostly know how to use it. And it does generate the NAMI unit status report XML. I've had some tickets from some agencies and owner agents who do not have this report generation as part of their software suite. They don't have the version that does that. So sometimes they just need to know that, no, you need to have the one that pulls the NAMI unit status report XML, because I believe that's kind of the correct term to use across the board for our software vendors who provide the XML. Also, if you're interested in joining the NAMA XML standards group on Procorum, email Kelly. She will add you to that. We're hosting that work center for the updates that we've made to NAMA. And if you would like to join, let her know. So we're going to start with our first poll question. We're going to get that out of the way. You have 30 seconds to answer. And Sam, I'll go ahead and let you take that poll and you tell me when it's time to go. How well do your owner agents understand how to resolve tenant event import errors? We have expert, we have novice, and we have need more training. And the 30 seconds starts now. And I think that that's 30 seconds, Sam. And I'm going to go ahead and click and cross my fingers. Aha. Expert. We have one expert. That's so great to see. Novice, and then needs more training, which I kind of figured that might get the most votes here in this poll. The good news is we are going to provide the tenant event portal training kind of like we did last year. And we're going to update that and include some AIT information, since that's something new that we're springing on them as well. So that will be coming out sometime in January. So if you have any suggestions, ideas as asset managers at the agencies that you want us to include and things we want to address that maybe we didn't address last year, send me an email. You know how to find me. I'm pretty easy to find. And give me some ideas and suggestions of things that you would like me to add to what we're already covering, and I would be happy to do that. All right, so now let's talk about the actual errors and what happens and the differences between system errors and data errors, okay? And you're going to see this on each PowerPoint because I wanted to add this just to be very clear. If you print this up as a PDF and provide it to your asset managers, this will help kind of identify what is a data error versus what is a system error. So certain errors that you get are just, they're system errors, they're code errors, there's something that can't be explained. It's not because of anything usually that the owner agent did or didn't do. For example, if you import a file and you see this object reference not set to an instance of an object, that's a code error. What you want to do, enter a support ticket for assistance, because generally, and those of you who have worked with me know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that file and I'm going to go into your UAT environment and try to recreate it. Because that way it gives us a chance to find out, is it code or is it the file? And if I can recreate this in UAT, then it's probably a code thing. We need to get a ticket into development and have them take a look at that so you can go about your importing business. Here's another one. Error. Data at the root level is invalid. That seems kind of weird. And it's like, I don't know what that means when you see it. But if you look right here, this is a zip file. And they can't upload a zip file, and many have tried and have failed. And so the way you can do this is say, hey, you guys are trying to upload a zip file, you need to upload an XML or a TXT file. And if you forget this conversation, you can enter a support ticket and we'll let you know, hey, this is a zip file. If you see a scary word called deadlock, and I know this happened a bit, this is just kind of a processing issue. Whenever I see the word deadlock, it's very aggressive, don't you think? It's like, oh no, just send us a support ticket and we'll talk to development about what's going on with the process and how to get that fixed so you can go on and continue to import your XML file without seeing the scary word deadlock. Then occasionally you'll get an error that doesn't really say anything, and it's like, what is this? And this, I can't tell you what this means, but we have people who work at ProLink who can't. And so if it doesn't have like an identifiable unit or data error that kind of makes some kind of sense to you, you're going to enter a support ticket, and we're going to pass that on over to our development team to take a look at it and see what's going on with this particular file. We don't have a one size fits all answer for a lot of these system errors, but again, we're able to figure them out and kind of keep you moving along if needed. This one is one I've seen before and I don't know what it is. So again, we know it's an XML file. This makes no sense to me. It doesn't have a unit number in it. It doesn't have an event error in it. So what you're going to do here for this one as well, you're going to enter a support ticket and we're going to ship that on over to development to say, hey, why is this happening? And let's make it stop. The other thing that comes up occasionally is when you have your owner agents and partners, they upload their tenant events and it takes a long time and it gets stuck. And so when you've seen this screen for more than 5 or 10 minutes, like when you have your owner agents, do this and the next day they're like, look, my tenant events are still refreshing. You can put in a support ticket and we'll talk to development about how we can fix that. I think this usually happens, in my observation, which is not a professional from a code perspective observation. It's during compliance season when everybody's getting in there and everybody's uploading tenant events. And I feel like the system is like, fighting for, I want to be first or I want to be first. And it just it can occasionally muck things up. I do know that the product team has been looking into this to find the root reason why this is happening and to fix it. So this isn't something that we have to deal with during compliance season 2024. So now we're going to talk about what you can troubleshoot with system errors. Again, the biggest thing is making sure that your file is an XML or TXT file. That's the most important thing, because if you're trying to upload a zip file or an Excel file or a document or a PDF, you're going to get a system error on that. And so if you're not sure if they have uploaded an XML and you don't understand why there's an error, sometimes I've seen owner agents generate the incorrect report, the incorrect XML file from their system and try to upload it as well. So what you can do is you just can kind of look in here and look into the XML and be like, okay, let's see what this is. This is kind of what it would look like. It's going to start with, it's going to have the industry standard version. Like, for example, this XML version is 4, and you can see it because it says 4.0. And then it's going to have property name, the vendor name, the create date of the reporting status, and then it'll start in your buildings and bins and units. So that's kind of a visual guide to whether or not this is the right kind of XML file that they're providing. And if it's not, you'll be able to tell them, hey, that's not the right file. And again, if you run into problems, enter a support ticket. I try not to take vacation between January and April because I know that owner agents and partners do interesting things with data. So I know there's extra help needed during that time of year. All right. Data errors, and there's a whole lot of data errors. And again, like I said, I don't think this covers every single one of them, but I was able to go back through some tickets that everyone had submitted over the past couple of years that kind of cover normal things that you might run into that don't seem easy to resolve, but are. So for example, one that I've seen a ticket for is reporting date errors. And what it's going to say is that our reporting start date and the file does not fall within the compliance review start and end dates for the compliance review. And this is easy for you as a ProLink HFA user to check, because the first thing you want to do is you want to open the XML file and compare the reporting start date and the reporting end date for the year to what is on your compliance review record in ProLink HFA. So here you can see that the XML has a start date of May 1st through December 31st, but in the system, it's got 1/1/2022 and 12/31. So the owner agent needs to update the reporting start date in their system, and I am so sorry, regenerate that XML and then upload it again, because those they need to match. And most of the time, unless it's like the first year of collecting tenant events, your reporting period start dates usually start on the first of the year and end on the last day of the year. So that's an easy thing to reconcile. Property name mismatch error. This seems to be a relatively easy way to reconcile this error. When you check in the XML that they've gotten the error for, you can see what the property name is going to be. And so in this example, they have Notting Hill, which is very similar to what we have in the system, except they're missing the word gardens here. And so what they have in their XML file needs to match what you have in your property name. And I always talk about this when we do training and when we've done for some of our recent clients that we've implemented. You're kind of the source of truth. And I always joke and say, you're the government, you're the boss, your agency gets to dictate what data is in their system, because you're the one who has to make sure that all the documentation that gets provided to HUD and to everybody else who is part of your, asset management department and process, they have the same data. And so you want to, you can dictate to your owner agents, this is what you need to call it. It's okay to do that because you want everybody to be on the same page with this. Now, something that trips some people up, including me, and I know there's one person who may or may not be at this conference, and we just went through this the other day. It's like, okay, so it looks like my name, let's say this said Stefano Gardens instead, is the same. But occasionally there's like the ghost space that you can't see when you just look at the property name, and you're like, why is this happening? When you click into the property name on Edit Property, just you click in there, it's going to put the little caret doohickey right there, and you're going to see there's an extra space. So all you have to do to resolve like a space error is like, oh, okay, let me backspace. So there's no space after, the last letter of the property name, and save it. And at that point, they should be able to import, and the property name is going to match, because XML is super picky and everything has to be very precise. So unmatched bin error. This happens a lot. I noticed that our agencies may format with hyphens, may not format with hyphens. That's just kind of an internal decision for what you choose to do with your bins. But it's important that your owner agents and partners have those formats correct in their system. Otherwise, you're going to get a mismatch error right here. Like this address has an unmatched bin. And it's like, well, it looks like it's fine. It's not. Because when you look in the XML, we have the hyphens in the XML right here. So your property owners or your owner agents and partners have entered this in their system with hyphens, when they can look, and this is very important to let you know, they can look on this page and see what the correct format is. It's right there, and you can see there's no hyphens. So you would just let them know, hey, your bins are incorrect because you have hyphens. Now, this one is a completely different property and has a totally different number too. That could also be a problem. They could have the wrong bin number as well. Hyphens and incorrect bin that doesn't exactly match what is showing on that compliance period screen is going to cause the unmatched bin error. And again, the easiest way to do it is let them know where to look. We do cover this during our tenant event portal training that we provide to everyone. And all they have to do is make sure this matches what you have in your system. And I know that we have an enhancement out there to add like what the property name is in your system in case, because I know that sometimes your work centers may be different than the actual property name. And that may be confusing to the owner agents. So all because they're looking at, the property name up here doesn't mean that's what you have in your system. So having a visual verification on that is something that we're looking to add at some point. More data errors, no building found. So usually when it says no building found with an address, that means the address is incorrect. Now it may be way incorrect, but in this example, the XML has the word avenue, and in the system, it's just shortened to AVE. And so these need to match exactly in your owner agents and partners system for it to import correctly. So this would be where you contact them and say, hey, they should be able to look at this and look at this and say, okay, well, these don't match because, I need to get rid of the NUE in this and then regenerate the XML and import that again. Transfer errors. Most of you are aware that we made some improvements in how our transfer in and transfer outs work now. We absolutely require that a transfer out and transfer in have matching events. So when you get an error that says we can't convert this to a transfer in because the transfer from building cannot be found, it's either that they're missing a corresponding event, or they have the incorrect data for the bins, and the bins could be formatted wrong in the XML. And let me bring that up and show you what that looks like. So here, if they have the bin as CO-94 and over here too, there's a good chance that you may have this bin in your system, in the ProLink HFA system, without the hyphens. That's going to generate that error. But in order to troubleshoot this, you need to open the XML and kind of go look and search on like the errors. So what I would do is I would open my XML, and if some of you don't know how to just open and search an XML, let me know, because I feel like that's something that would help you troubleshoot things quicker. But we can talk about, just adding like the add-in that makes it easy to go through and find instead of just one big line at the top of the XML, which is frustrating. But once you look through here, you can look and see, okay, what does this data look like? It looks like it's okay. But if you have the bin without the hyphens, you're going to get this error. You're also going to get this error if you only have one of these events and you don't have the other. It would be a similar error. Here we go. This is what that one is. Can't find an associated transfer in event. So whoops, I'm getting click happy over here. So this is when you have a transfer out and they haven't created a transfer in. And so this would be something that your owner agents, and we can train them and bring this up during our training. If they see this error, that means that they have a transfer out on unit G306 on this date that doesn't have the corresponding transfer in. They need to get that information correctly in their system, regenerate the XML and import it to make this error go away, because the data is incomplete at this point. So then we have unit specific errors. And this was something we added over the past couple of years. So you don't have to do the whole scavenger hunt in the XML to find out, well, why is this happening? Because we used to live and die by line numbers in the XML. And now we've kind of evolved to where we don't have to do that. So it's basically saying D102, tenant event cannot have a program type of market and be in the LIHTC program. Now that seems like a really weird, strange, unusual error, but it's very simple. And it comes down to kind of understanding what some of the values in the XML mean. You don't really have to know how to code an XML, but being able to read it is going to be very helpful when we have these kind of errors that pop up. So in this example, the unit that's causing this error, it's been identified as a market type unit, which is fine, except you cannot have it be in the tax credit program or the home program. And in the XML, when you have like for programs and other things that are a yes or a no, when you see tax credit 1, that means this is a tax credit unit, but it's a unit type of market, which is a no-no. Same thing if it was home, was a 1 and it was a market, it would like, no, I don't think we can do that. Although we might be able to, I need to verify that. But this is an easy way to just for them to look at it and be like, oh, apparently I have a market unit that I need to flag as not being in the tax credit program. And they, again, would update their data and regenerate their XML. Other unit specific errors, one that I do see a lot is the alien registration number attribute is invalid. So what it's going to do, it's not going to, I believe we may have, I don't know if we've gotten the unit number added to this validation yet or not. I think that's somewhere on our roadmap, but it's going to tell you that this is invalid. And the reason it's invalid is because it's missing a leading A. And the data dictionary for NAMA is very clear on what it's supposed to use. It's supposed to be an A and then 9 numbers following that A. So the easiest way to find out exactly which unit this is going to be that's generating the error is to open the XML, and you can Control F and search on this value 09 blah blah blah, and that's going to take you to the head of household. Then you would scroll up in the XML to find out what unit it is, and that's how you can let them know, hey, all your alien registration numbers need to start with an A and need to be followed by 9 digits. So that's going to get past this alien registration error that you've seen before. Let's see, other NAMA data errors. Ethnicity type combination is invalid and race type combination is invalid. So I know this has been one of those things that everybody gets tripped up on because it's really frustrating because you can't figure out why is this happening. The XML or the data dictionary for NAMA is clear about this. In this instance where I've provided this error message for you, when you look at the ethnicity node, the N is valid. And when you look at the race node, the W is invalid. But what is not valid is the TDR. And TDR is tenant declined to respond. So if that value has been selected in the owner agent and partner system, then you can't have another value because you're saying, I decline to respond. But by the way, I'm this. No, you can't do that. It has to be one or the other. And so if they have something in there like that, you can kind of look at this and compare it to what the data dictionary tells you are valid, and then kind of let them know, hey, this is where your issue is, and this is what you need to update in your system to make this successful import. Because again, another one is, I think missing is fine, but you can't, I don't think you have missing and an ethnicity either. It's got to be TDR or missing and nothing else. But again, the data dictionary kind of shows that for you, or shows that in detail. Then just a note, if you want to access the latest data dictionaries, first of all, you can reach out. If you can't find them, let me know. I will send it to you via email or a ticket. And then if you join our NAMA standards group, they are there. They live in Procorum under our work center and account for NAMA. Whoops. So other data errors you might get. If you get something that says the amount is invalid, that means that they have somewhere in their XML, they have an amount. And sometimes it's, I don't know, actual income for something, or maybe someone's accidentally put in the negative amount for something. You can't put negative amounts in your XML. It's not going to allow it. Those are invalid according to the data dictionary. Gender element is invalid. This one particular it doesn't have a value. So there must be a valid value in accordance with the NAMA data dictionary. Income type also. We've had owner agents put an A for alimony, and it's like, no, I believe that's N for other, but A is not a valid value according to the NAMA data dictionary. So they're going to get an error for that. So it's like finding a way to have your owner agents and partners kind of understand what the data dictionary means to them and how they're inputting their data in their system. And that it has to match up if they're going to use the XML import. And here we go. NAMA data dictionary versions 5, 6, and 7 can be found in the ProLink HFA user group share folder. And then you have tenant portal help that you can find here. So I think we have the next poll question. We have 30 seconds. How useful do you find the tenant event portal help documentation? Very helpful, somewhat helpful. There's help for the tenant portal. So you have 30 seconds to go ahead and answer that question. And I'll wait for Sam to let me know when it's ready to show you the poll. It's also a good time for a water break. All right, so I believe that's been about 30 seconds, or I'm just super impatient. Both things can be true. Sam, I'm going to go on up over to our results. Very helpful, somewhat helpful. And 4 of you weren't aware that there was tenant portal help. Oh, 9 of you. Oh my goodness, we're updating in real time. Yeah, there is a help area out there for the tenant event portal. This is something we do cover during training to reiterate to the owner agents and partners that it's there for them. And it's a good basis to get started. It might answer some really easy questions for them, especially when they're doing things manually. And it's always something that is being updated with new, when we add new functionality to the tenant portal, we update the help text because our technical writer is awesome and is always on top of those things. So good to hear it's helpful and somewhat helpful. And oh boy, if you didn't know there was help for the tenant event portal, you know now because we put the link in the slide deck, and you can go ahead and take a look at that and see what you think. If there are things that are missing, I know some of you will not hesitate to let us know in a support ticket, things that we need to add to help. And, you know, we're always willing to do that, whatever is going to make your lives easier in using the tenant portal. All right, so now let's talk about validation errors. I'm doing a quick time check. All right, we're good. We got like 30 minutes, so I don't even think we're going to use all of that, Bree. All right, so once the owner agent has successfully imported the XML, they have to validate, and this is part of our process. And a lot of you are familiar with this, with your owner agents and partners saying, hey, I don't know what this means. We've tried to make it easy. And, you know, our rule of thumb for this when it comes to getting units having an invalid event, it's like, you know, it's like if you have a move out and a transfer out event, the only thing that can follow that is a move in or a transfer in, or possibly an IC if that gets used, which I know is something that we've added recently. And same thing, you can't have a move in and a transfer in at the same time. Once you have a move in, you know, you can have a recert, you can have an update, you can do a few other things, but you can't add another in after that, or you're going to get this error. So it makes it relatively easy that all they have to do is click on this little hyperlink here, and it's going to take them to the unit in the tenant portal where the offensive event is, and allow them to delete it or modify it. Like sometimes, you know, oh, I meant to put a move out instead of a recertification, or my recertification and my move outs and move ins are out of order. I have seen a lot where sometimes people will put a move out and then a recert, and you can't recert somebody who isn't in the unit. That's just basics. It's like, well, I've heard, you know, people say, well, I need to recert him even though he's out. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's just kind of out of our order of operations that are acceptable. It doesn't make sense. You know, he's going to move out, and you can't recertify somebody who has moved out or transferred out on the same unit. Other things that we have in here, let's see, household income record is not entered, and the tenant rent portion is not entered. Household income record, we have the option if they have zero income, you can just type in, your owner agents can just type in a 0 here on the tenant event tab instead of adding the household income record. That was something that we added to make it, whoops, hang on a second, I'm not done talking. And then the tenant rent portion field is required for the event. So there's the tenant rent field on the tenant event that has to be populated too, even if it's a 0, because these are things that we just want to make sure you have eyes on. Yes, this is household, really does not have any income, so we're going to put a 0 in that field. And then they really don't pay any rent, so we're going to put a 0 in that field. So those are your options for populating those things. All right, so now we have our last poll question. What is your biggest challenge with the tenant event portal? Training your owner agents on how to identify and resolve the import errors, training them on how to resolve the validation errors, and then training your internal folks on how this works and how they can help the owner agents and partners. So we got about 30 seconds to answer this one. I'm actually going to start my timer. And I think that has been about 30 seconds. So I'm going to give Sam a minute to update the PowerPoint so we can see the results. I feel like A and B are going to get the most, but I could be wrong. I'm not good at betting, so I just shouldn't at all. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. Interesting. So we have some internal folks that need to understand this as well. Okay, so hopefully this is going to help them. What we're going through today is going to help them a little bit. And I know, again, we had a short amount of time, and this is more of the, the webinar format than the training and having more back and forth between people who need to be trained on it. That is something we can talk about once we go out and do our January tenant event training, portal training for, your owner agents and external parties. We can talk about what you might need for your internal folks to learn how to utilize tasks to provide reconciliation to your owner agents and partners when they get these errors. So again, reach out via support ticket or email me directly. And kind of, if you have an idea of what you need and what you want, let me know. I can and let you know what it would take to do that and if it's possible, and try to set up a timeline, because I feel like January's the time to do the training, because that's when you're getting your onslaught of imports, and it's compliance season is just in full swing. All right, so I've ended about 15 minutes early. Do we have any Q&A that I can address right now? And I think that my internal folks, if I can bring up my teams, let's see, no Q&A. Really? I answered all your questions and anticipated all your needs. I know that's not true. So once you get done processing what we talked about today, and you have questions, or you see something I didn't cover that you want an answer to, or you want us to add to our tenant event portal training in January, reach out, let me know, email me, put in a support ticket, and we can absolutely do that. So Bree, I can hand it over to you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
I will take back the screen. So before everyone kind of logs off, I'm going to take the opportunity, since we are ending a little bit early. I'll just stay on the Q&A page for right now. So I was messaging with some internal folks at ProLink about whether or not I should share this, because we are going to be launching some service offerings this quarter, gearing up for next year. And this is what I do with an extra 15 minutes. So we all know, some of you, many of you have been using the tenant event portal. Certainly if you're joining this session, it's likely you've been using it for a while. It is incredibly helpful, and definitely sort of requires those best practice provisions in getting through your compliance with accuracy and completely. But it is time consuming. We realize that in staff, kind of having to coach their partners, those property managers, through the process of getting that XML exported out of their property management tools, uploading it to Procorum Tenant Event Portal, resolving the errors that Sarah just went through, and then you taking that and bringing it into your own ProLink HFA environment to complete your compliance. So that is something that we have been brainstorming and making plans for over the last few quarters, really over the last year since our last compliance season, for ProLink to take more of a role in supporting our staff with the services and kind of time required to support your partners. So both on the agency side and supporting you through actually using the tenant event portal, and then also helping to provide more direct assistance to your property managers and owner agents who are submitting this data. So something that we will be reaching out to all of our agency clients about over the next couple of months leading up to our compliance season for 2024. But since I do have the extra time, I'll go ahead and share it here, since many of you I know are going to be intimately close to this process for your agency. I feel that, you know, in going through this exercise and working with our clients on some of the more complex business processes that ProLink supports, it helps for sure. Technology is a powerful tool, but it also takes time and effort from our experts, from you, from our staff, right? And we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we continue to provide technology that directs your time to your highest and best use, right? So that is a combination between technology and the right people doing the right jobs at the right time. So I'm looking forward to this because I think ProLink has a lot of the right people to help with the compliance obstacles that our clients face in using. It's just inherent in going through a tenant event submission, the errors that come up and the kind of coaching and counseling that you provide to your partners. So I'm looking forward to us hopefully streamlining that for some of our agencies so that you can put your time to highest and best use in the future. So certainly something you'll be hearing from us about, and look forward to those conversations to see if we can continue to just bring efficiency to your agency in this area. I know this is a very time consuming and very important process that everyone goes through every year. So, okay, so that gave us back a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and switch our screen now to, let's see here, our housekeeping again. We'll wrap up. We're going to head into our last coffee and bagel of the day. So Sara, thank you very much for the session. We appreciate it. You know, Sara also puts on a tenant event portal training for your owner agents and property managers. I think we'll probably schedule it the second week of January, I believe. So stay tuned to see some information about that, and we'll provide, you know, some materials to send out to those external parties that you would like to include in that training. So that's Sara training your owner agents and property managers in submitting their events and helping walk through some of the obstacles they face on their side. We do this every January right after the HFA Institute conference. So I expect that it would be the week following that conference for NCSAJ. Hope you found great value in reviewing some of these common errors and how to resolve those. We also wanted to let you know that Sam posted the link to join the NAMA XML Standards Work Center in the chat. So it's currently pinned at the top of the chat. Please join this work center if you would like to stay up to date on NAMA standards and even participate in those discussions. That's really our best forum to kind of see change and enact these changes, these needed adjustments to that XML standard coming from our property management technology providers. The survey is also now available for this session on the right-hand side of your screen. So please provide any feedback or comments. We would really appreciate to hear from you there. You can also ask any other questions you might have. We'll definitely be responding as appropriate for all communication we get from you through chat or the survey. Okay, and so we are opening up coffee and bagel a little early since we're ending the session early. So until 2:30 p.m. Eastern, as you it will be open. And as you take a break, yes, please join us. Get your coffee, whatever you need to do, and then please come back. We'll be there until we end at 2:30. Hope to discuss more of the things that we've covered so far with you in those rooms. You access that for anybody who's logged in since this morning. Under community at your top menu bar, click the discussions option like you see on your screen here, and then you'll find the room with the time slot for coffee and bagel that we're entering right now. When you click there, you'll see little boxes of 6 per room. That's 6 slots for people to join per room, to keep those kind of small and intimate groups for discussion kind of monitored and controlled. So not too many, if too many people join those, then no one talks. So we keep it limited to 6, which is a great size. Please meet and greet each other during that session. The next session is going to be pro forma and standardized financials. So that training is going to be presented by Kelly and Sinias. Definitely more of a technical or advanced session, so just be aware of that. This session begins at 2:30 Eastern time. That will also be our last conference session today. So last session of this conference for 2023. Coffee and Bagel has been happening throughout the conference during our break times. During each break, we do pick a winner and provide a $50 gift card to that individual for participation. It's a random selection just for participating to encourage that interaction amongst ourselves. So enjoy Coffee and Bagel, and we'll see you again for our last session with Kelly. Thank you.